What's going on, FUD Nation? We have an amazing episode for you today. I know everybody has been wondering what the heck is going on with this market. Are we going up? Is this just a short-term rally? Is this going to continue? Are we going to the moon? What's happening? And to bring a little bit of clarity to this whole situation, I've called in the expert, my ringer, Eric Crown from Crown's Crypto Cave. So without further ado, let's get to it. Let's talk to Eric Crown about what's really happening with these Bitcoin and cryptocurrency charts. Welcome back to FUD TV, our good friend Eric Crown from Crown's Crypto Cave. How you doing, my friend?
Hey, what's up, Elliot? Good to be back here with the good old people of FUD TV, and good to be talking with you, Elliot.
Yeah, well, I know that it has been an absolutely monstrous week here in crypto. So much so that I had to come out of my hiatus, even with my jaw half wired shut here. So what's going on, Crown? You know, what is going on? I think is the top question on everybody's mind is what is going on in the market? Because I think people are calling a new bull run. People are calling the bottom's been printed. People are calling, mortgage the house, take out a loan, go buy that crypto with anything you can, because if you don't, you're going to miss this train. It's going to the moon. What are you seeing on your end from a more, I guess, data driven, a little bit more of a chart driven approach here? Because you've always been good at taking a quantitative approach, and I think everybody wants to know, just, is this it? Is this what's everybody's been waiting for?
Yeah, man. So it's been extremely interesting, extremely fun for the last couple of weeks. Actually, Bitcoin actually moving once again, opportunities back in the market. The lower time frames, I can totally understand what people would be thinking. You know, it looks bullish there. It is bullish there. That has been the right play for the last month and a half, 100%. However, when we go look at the higher time frames, the picture becomes a little bit more convoluted, and becomes still a question of seeing actual confirmation on some things that we can go look at right now. If you'd like to, I'll bring up the where is it? How do I get on to there? It is, share screen. All right, awesome.
Well, that sounds great. I'd love to see that.
There. Alrighty, here we go. This breakout, while I didn't necessarily expect it to reach these sorts of levels, was you're gonna have your pumps in your overall downtrend. However, the thing is that when we look at the higher time frames, and I'll just start off with this, a very, very sombering reality right now is looking at the monthly, because the monthly, while we are having a major move, no doubt about that, it is still unconfirmed on whether we've actually changed what I look at, which matters the most to me as far as like the overall actual macro trend. Lower to medium time frames, absolutely bullish, no doubt about that. Higher time frames, still in kind of purgatory right now. We are damn close. Bitcoin could change my mind by the end of the month, but still not quite there. When we look at the monthly, it's very easy to see that we are just popping back up. We have not made any higher highs. We've also not made any lower lows. So that's a good sign. But we've not made any higher highs. We've not necessarily started an uptrend from these higher time frame perspectives. More importantly, this yellow moving average right here, that is a 21 exponential moving average. And that's what I look towards on a monthly time frame to kind of judge if it's generally bullish or generally bearish.
Hey, just to, I don't want to interrupt you, sir, but your mic has kind of cut back a little bit. I'm not sure what's going on. It just sounded like you went into a tunnel.
Let's.
Oh, there you go. You're back. You're back.
Okay.
You're back.
We're back. Maybe I need to talk a little bit more directly into it.
Sorry about that.
All good, man. All good.
I want people to hear this wisdom.
Hey, all good, man. Okay, so when I used to be a trader in a professional, on a professional exchange like New York Stock Exchange, ARCA, we would use the 21 exponential on a monthly to judge if the stock, is generally bullish or generally bearish. And right now, Bitcoin is still respecting it as resistance as of the current moment in time. Again, Bitcoin can certainly close above it. However, I need to see that happen first, and that is currently coming in right around 5,200, which is also met by a significant amount of other resistances. We're going to go through the whole gamut right now, but this is where I really want to start off, because this is perhaps the most important one to me. Not only that, but as we look at right here, this red moving average, that's a 10 simple moving average, which is a lower period. And just intuitively speaking, you know that when a lower period crosses to the downside of a higher period, that would insinuate that the trend is to the downside. And right now we are just popping back up to retest this area, which is very common whenever you get these sorts of crosses. Algos and bots will be looking at these sorts of things, and they're going to give us insight into whether this wants to be played or not. If you see a major rejection off this area, that's the big sign that this is a humongous trap. If by the end of the month you see us close above this area, well, I don't really have a reason to be bearish after that. In fact, you can go back in the history of Bitcoin and back test this one, and going through 2014, 2015, when Bitcoin lost a 21 exponential, it took about a year, a little bit more than a year for it to actually regain it. And we retested it, multiple times, 1, 2, 3, 4-ish times before we actually broke it onwards and outwards to the upside. More importantly speaking, actually, just as an aside, if you're more of a long-term type thinker, this actually timed the perfect entry for a trade in 2015 at about $300, getting you the whole full momentum right up to almost $20,000 price per Bitcoin. Pretty phenomenal. So we do have a good history of this actually being respected. And more importantly, right now, we do not have this area being confirmed above. Not only that, but if we go back down to the daily, we've hit a major exponential moving average right over here. This is the 377 daily blue moving average, which again, a major, in traditional markets, this one's absolutely one of the most important ones for the general trend, and still we are living below it. We've gotten, in fact, rejected from it. More importantly, an extremely heavy volume. We do not have follow through, and I'd imagine that if Bitcoin even is going to put in a top right here, it probably does grind this area for a little while before testing some supports lower. And to actually, just before I get super deep into it, if you are more intermediary time frame minded, the range that I'm looking at right now is between this area right here and this area right here. Quite a large range, but overall, when looking at the volume profile, we ripped through this way on the way down. We can rip through it on the way up, and we're just kind of figuring out where the structure, where the integrity of the structure does lie. It's kind of like the analogy that I like to make with the volume profile. It's like building a building, and realistically speaking, you want to come back in and kind of fill in the blank spots. And right now, we kind of missed a few floors on the way up. So you can see that we're kind of stuck right in the middle of this whole structure right here. Anyway,
so I have a question.
Yeah,
if you go back to the slightly higher time frame on the monthly there, you showed that we tested that 21-month exponential or the. It looks like we're testing that right now. However, if we go back to the previous bear cycle, the bottom had been printed by that point. I think this is a big question. There's a few questions like, is this the bull run, and has the bottom been printed? I think obviously prior segments with you and our good friend Mike over there at Bloomberg had indicated that the bottom had not been printed, or was likely not printed. However, if you look back, by the time we're testing and trying to grind up past that yellow exponential, it looks like the bottom was indeed printed. Even though we didn't get over it for, it looks like 6 months or so after the first attempt.
Actually, no. Right here, we have our first rejection from it. After
Gotcha.
that, it actually went on to its ultimate low. But yeah, you are right. We certainly, if you are a super high time frame minded person, understand that we are much closer to the low than we are not. Of course, that's kind of a nonsensical statement. Obviously, as the days pass, if you're a long-term believer in Bitcoin, you're going to believe something like that. But my point is that if you are looking for those long-term trades, the next big long-term trade is going to be the upside, not to the downside. That was last year's time. But yeah, man, you do bring up a good point, just because once Bitcoin starts kind of testing this once again, that's showing that it is kind of gaining strength, right? And that is worthwhile to say. And I love that you push back on these points, because you should. And realistically speaking, I'm still unconvinced that the low is in. However, if Bitcoin could close above this 21 exponential, that would immediately change my opinion on a monthly basis. If we could do that, I'm happy to switch around. I'm happy to put in some long-term longs and get back on the train. But going through all the timeframes, you're going to quickly notice that we are meeting significant areas. So back onto the daily, 377 not only being respected, but a massive rejection so far. So to me, as long as we're kind of living below there, that is the area to watch for the bulls. If Bitcoin could break above there, then that's going to have follow through onto the higher timeframes. Lower timeframes, we probably have a quick move to about 56, maybe 57. But ultimately, that would probably be the initial thing, saying, hey, bull market starting relatively soon. If we go over here to the 2-day, we are hitting the 200 exponential, another extremely powerful one, telling you about the overall trend. So far, this one will be ending tonight, and so far it is a massive rejection, shooting star on extremely heavy volume. Not only that, but we go over here to the 3-day, and 3-day, same sort of thing, rejection off the 200 exponential. Go over here to the weekly, another very in some ways nasty picture being painted. There's a couple good things going on here, a couple bad things going on here. The good things are that we have taken out likely to take out the 200 exponential and 21 exponential, which are both very powerful from a weekly perspective, and will really set the tone for this next sort of month or two of behavior. Probably likely to set the pace between this 46 and 53-ish level. I'd imagine if we can confirm above this before end of week, which I think is quite likely, I don't think that we're gonna sell off back below 4,100 by end of week. I'll put it that way. But on the bad side, the overall trend in the higher moving averages right here, the 50 exponential and the 89 exponential crossing the downside once again. We have the green lower period crossing the downside of a higher period, which is also being respected. You see a perfect spike into this area and coming back down. So this is the insight that I want to look at to gauge where the bots and algos are in this market. Are they on the sell side or the buy side? Are they done distributing, or are they ready to accumulate and enforce this guy onwards and upwards? First pass, very likely to be a sell, but as the weeks progress, we should get some insight before end of month to see where this is likely to kind of end. We bring it over. Go ahead.
So I just wanted to recap a little bit before we get into the predictions. What do you think actually caused this rally? Because I mean, look at the charts. I mean, you see a dramatic green candlestick there that is almost unmatched over the last 20, 30 time periods, 40 time periods. So how can we explain this? I've seen the short squeeze explanation. Is that pretty much it? It was a short squeeze on low volume. Did it just smash all the shorts? Just a couple of buys, and is this in any way indicative of real volume to the upside? Or was there anything organic about this that makes you think that there's a market-wide trend happening, or is this just a big event, a single event?
Okay, so, well, no, it's unlikely to be shorts being liquidated, because if we can actually track that, and realistically, shorts were pretty much at yearly lows before this pump. In fact, people were adding on shorts during this pump for the last couple of days. We've gained about 3,000, about three, almost 4,000 shorts in the last couple of days alongside this pump. So people are actually putting on short positions right on this high. More importantly, each and every time that Bitcoin's gone down in this blue box territory, we do see a divergence in behavior, because we typically have dumped. I mean, like, all these areas have matched up with major dumps beforehand. But this last one, we pumped while the shorts were in this area, which to me is a divergence in behavior. So there are competing narratives here. I would not say that is the reason. I mean, at the end of the day, I have to give you the age-old one. I know that I know this is not too helpful, but it's the truth, man. It's the truth. The reason why we pumped, there was more buyers than sellers. That's the only reason why price action moves ever. People always want to look at some sort of news piece to explain the move. I think the narrative was that someone basically fat fingered $20 million worth of Bitcoin. Fair enough. I mean, maybe, but at the end of the day, whether or not that's true or not, you always have to be asking yourself, how does that change what you'd be doing? Would you be realistically making new assumptions based off that? I would argue by the time that news comes out, the move's already happened, right? So what's more important is stuff that we can actually document. And to me, we're still seeing this area being defended. If we could go over here now to the MBT center, which, again, we've spoken about this before, it has never been wrong in the history of Bitcoin. It has a 100% accuracy hit rate. And right now we're actually hitting a major red, which doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to immediately sell off. As you can see, it spent time in the red zone before, about 3-4 months in this segment in 2018, about a month over here at the top at 20,000. Just going back a little bit more, you can see about a month in the bull trap at 2014, parabolic high right over here, another month, few weeks right over here as well. All major highs though, so it is on the radar as we approach all these major movement averages. And now I'll bring out some which
Wow.
Not something that I typically.
So this could spell out a move back down lower to the 4,000s, 3,000s, 2,000s. What does that feel like to you?
Yeah. So if you want to talk about targets, I don't really have any realistic targets, because realistically, I can give you my opinion and I can give you the technical analysis. Technical analysis says don't be super bearish looking for new lows until the weekly 200 simple moving average, which is currently coming in right here, this pinkish moving average at about 3,500, is broken, and we're well away from that. So it's not really on my mind as a trader. As an analyst, as a person with an opinion who doesn't trade his opinion, to be fair, I'd still be looking probably mid to low 2,000s if this guy does turn around. But by the same token, I do want to be agnostic as a trader to take in new information. If we do take out that monthly area, I switch around. It's just that simple. Do I think that it's going to happen? I'm looking at all the high time frames, it does look to me that we're probably going to put in some time here, but ultimately I do think that the rally gets faded most likely. But this is going to take a long time, man. When I was on here last, we spoke about how realistically understand that these market cycles take a very long time. I'll go over here to something that people typically compare with Bitcoin, and that's gold, as people call Bitcoin digital gold. Of course, there's a lot of differences with each other. This one, obviously, a market cap that is like way bigger. But just put in perspective, this thing had its parabolic rise in 2011, marking off its top, and it's been in consolidation ever since. I'm not saying that, I'm not insinuating that Bitcoin's going to, be in consolidation for the next 5-6 years. But hey, just understand that, it can take a long time. And realistically speaking, we've been doing this for the last little over a year. I'd imagine that if I had to put money on it, I don't think that this lasts more than another year from today. I'd imagine something like that would probably make sense. Going back onto the charts, I do want to show a couple of the valuations, some more fundamental indicators. And start. I forgot to explain that the MBT is the network value divided by the daily transaction value. That's kind of the that's kind of the uniqueness of it. It's essentially a fundamental indicator, and the fact is that we are once again hitting that red. So,
and it was redlining there. It was redlining there when we were at the 6K mark, pretty consistently, essentially.
Yeah, it was. It's been about 6 months there. That was pretty unheard of before. I mean, on the prior times, it usually spends about 3 to 4 weeks there. This was the only time that I've seen it stay here for months and months on end. We can bring up a couple more things. I typically don't pay attention to this, but I do think that it's a little bit interesting here, and I'm sure that people will recognize this one. I'll bring up the Teddy sequential, which. And not my favorite thing, but I just want to show the confluences amongst all the different indicators showing that this is the time to be, taking in profits. If you were long on the breakout, which actually was, I've closed my positions. I'm not interested in playing any more of this. And, unless we actually break above 52.50 as a trader, I don't want any more. But we're printing on a 9 on the weekly at a major resistance. And going over the 3-day, we just printed a 9 on a 3-day, hitting the 200 exponential on extremely heavy volume. If we go over the daily, I think we're printing a 9 as well. Yeah, actually right here, right now. So again, not my favorite way of doing things, but when we have all these confluences, it does, it starts to paint the picture, right? We go over here to the Bitcoin
and just for those unfamiliar with the TD sequential, what does it mean?
Oh, yeah. So sorry, I forgot to explain. So the TD sequential essentially creates counts of 9. There is a little bit of a formula to it, but overall it's quite simple. And typically speaking, when you hit a 9, it's that calls the end of the move. We can just go through and back test it just a little bit. Don't want to bore people too much. But going over here to maybe a weekly, or I think the 3 days actually been pretty damn good on this one. We printed a 9 right now, but just going back in the history of Bitcoin, the 9 essentially called the top at 20,000, called the major low at about 6,000 right over here, called another major low right here, called another major, almost a high right there on an 8. But overall, it has actually been relatively okay, relatively dependable when it actually does get those 9s. And
it's printing a 9 right now.
It's printing a 9 right now. Yes, not just on a 3-day, but more importantly, a weekly.
So you have the NVT. More important. You have the NVT. You have the TD sequential. You have a little bit of the monthly, the higher time frames. You have a death cross there. Mm-hmm. So we have a fair amount of confluence between indicators that are saying, hey, could be going down here.
This is the time to be protective rather than aggressive and greedy as a trader. Of course, I understand that people have different perspectives in this market. I don't want to make it sound like I only understand mine. I understand that some people are going to be on like a 5-10 year time frame, and 4,958 is fine enough, fair enough. That's everyone's different. But when we go over here to some more fundamental indicators, I'm going to bring up this. I don't think I've shown this one before. Another Woo Bull chart. This is the Bitcoin network momentum, which I think is incredibly fascinating, as this one also has proven to be a pretty damn good leading indicator for judging when bull markets start. And I'll just go through this. And actually, the maker himself doesn't talk about this, which I think is kind of funny, but
Willy Woo,
the right way to use it. Yeah, he typically talks about how you want to see it gaining momentum before the low being put in, but I'll actually present something different right now. And essentially, yes, you do see momentum being gained on this oscillator when the bull, when major lows are being put in. But look at this right here. Once you actually break out of that low, you put in the support trend line essentially for that rest of the bull run, going all the way from here to the ultimate high in 2014, then drops back down below, key point below that support trend line. Mm-hmm. And once it's below that support trend line, that's when all this price action from here to here transpires, bringing you to your ultimate low, your capitulation low in 2014, 2015, as this thing bottoms out. Then it gains momentum once again. But keep this in mind. Actually, it tells you the major low is in once it breaks back above where the support trend line was on the oscillator.
Gotcha.
Right over here. that's basically time to use the perfect low. Then it gains momentum all the way up.
Hey, could you try readjusting your position of the mic again?
Yeah, let's try this.
Perfect.
All right, beautiful. Yeah, so then we create another support trend line right over here. It breaks at the beginning of 2018 when, we put in that high at about 20,000. And right now we are nowhere near that trend line. And to me, it's when we break back above this trend line that actually calls the low, not just the beginning of the bull momentum, but the actual low as we've seen before. So just another fundamental thing saying, hey, be cautious here. Be cautious because we haven't necessarily confirmed anything as of yet. Going over here to the Bitcoin valuations chart, we can bring this up. This one is just a conglomeration of a bunch of different market cap ratios, realized cap, MBT cap, with a bunch of different moving averages on it, delta cap, average cap. Don't need to know all of them to understand what this chart's about to show. And essentially, scrolling back in time, all of these lines, if you want to call them that, when they converge, that is called major lows. Back over here in 2012, back over here in it's like World War III over there in your world, man. What's going on?
Oh yeah, there's just been some. I live in a DMZ, a demilitarized zone over here. That's really they're just delivering food packets.
There you go. Converges on all each other right over here. On this low in late 2013, converges on the actual low of 2014 right over here. But if we zoom into the current moment in time, all of these averages, all of these lines are actually not converging on each other, but they're diverging.
Yeah,
they're diverging. So I've spoken a lot about. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah. So again, a little bit concerning, man. A little bit concerning. Now, I've spoken about a lot of bearish indications right now. I'll present two really big cases for the bulls, which I think are valid and worthwhile to cover. And we'll go over here to the Bitcoin on chain. Sorry, let me get rid of this. We're talking about the Bitcoin, the miner's valuation. Essentially, this is a chart of the dollars worth of mined coins, if that makes sense.
Yep.
Okay, great. And basically, going all the way back here. Oh man, it deleted my drawings. Oh well, that's okay. Each and every time that this marks a nice parabolic high, it puts in a nice horizontal right here, and then that becomes a support for the rest of your cycle.
Mm-hmm.
Then we do another support. Another parabolic mark right over here. So we put another support trend line. It never goes lower. Then we put another
can't go lower.
Move right over here. Can't go lower, bro. And then we put another parabolic right over here, and that's exactly where we've actually spiked down to on this last drive down to 3150. So if you do want an indication that the low is in, this actually has been pretty damn good in the past. We overlay it over here with Bitcoin USD. This starts to, well, damn, you can't see it too well because it's on linear scale. But overall, you can just take my word for it. It actually has gotten the lows very, 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 very well, historically speaking. Each and every time that's actually come back and retested this area. Now you do see it grind this area in the past. That's completely fine.
Could you speak a little more into the mic? Sorry.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Perfect. Sorry, man.
All right, beautiful. Yeah, so when it comes down here, we have seen it grind in the past, but it would still insinuate that the actual lows are in. If we want to take this just one step further to my second point on why, for the argument for perhaps the low being in, would actually be looking at, let's go over to Litecoin right here.
Well, and then yeah, exactly. I wanted to ask you a little bit after this, which is, the Bitcoin chart, I understand, but there has been an absolute insane alt season going on, like insane.
Yeah.
And I just don't remember. I don't remember this happening for a single day in 2000. Well, obviously there was a couple days in early 2018, but that was absolutely mind blowing from the 1st through the 9th of January. But after that, it went down. It just didn't not perform the market. I don't remember looking at the market and having single days like I saw yesterday, the day before. Obviously, Litecoin being one of those gainers, Bitcoin Cash, and just a ton of altcoins. And so I feel like there's just an energy that I have not seen as far as rallies outside of the Bitcoin chart.
Absolutely, and I completely agree with that. And I've been saying this for the last couple months, and I believe I said this last time I was on. I was on here with FUD Nation. Is that Litecoin is your best argument for the bear market being over? And since we last spoke, it hit everything that I was looking for in order for it to confirmed to me that there's no reason to be bearish on Litecoin. While I would be looking for pullbacks, I don't, I believe that the low is in. This is exactly picture perfect what we look towards. And here's the thing: in the past, you'll notice that that Mrs. Litecoin right over here, in the past market cycle of 2014, 2015, she put on her lows and worked out of her lows before Bitcoin. She turned around in June 2015. I would say right here is where I'd mark this. That was your big breakout leading into your bullish momentum. Yes, we went sideways for a little while after that, but it was initially this major break right here that set the pace, and the lows were in essentially. And again, remember, this is June 2015. So if we go over to Bitcoin in 2015, you'll notice that Bitcoin didn't turn around, I'd say, until here. This was late October. I mean, basically November of 2015. So months and months afterwards. More importantly, I mean, Litecoin, like I said, Litecoin has literally everything that I look for to mark off a major market cycle low. This is just a beautiful V bottom right out, almost instantaneously, on increasing volume all the way through. I think this is even better seen on a daily. There you go. I mean, just this this is the opposite of what we really see on Bitcoin, to be quite honest with you. But volume increasing, price increasing alongside. We have a golden cross on the daily. We're above all major movement averages. I don't see any reason to be bearish on Mrs. Litecoin. Now, while
and on top of that, on top of that, you have what people look for from a fundamental standpoint, which is the halving of the block reward, which of course creates more scarcity inherently, right? Which is how do you get more supply? It's all mined when it comes to Bitcoin and Litecoin. And there's something to be said for those old coins that have the decentralized networks, that have the mining networks, that have these sort of these mechanisms that have made them very desirable as currency. And so whether or not people love or think Litecoin holds the same position in the crypto ecosystem that it did back in 2012, this is, to me, quite a strong case to show that people very much so respect the Litecoin ecosystem, and the halving of the block reward might be playing a role here. I mean, the halving's happening in August, so Bitcoin's halving is another year away, and so maybe there's just a delay there. I know that's not
perhaps, man, and that's really where good technical analysis and fundamental analysis come together to make something really special, because you have the fundamentals agreeing, and that's a legitimate fundamental thing. I mean, a lot of the time I make fun of fundamentals because people will consider something that is just not like getting a rebranding is like good fundamentals. No, that's not fundamentals. But something like the halving date, yes, and that has had historical implications as well. And like we just saw, this was a trend in the past. And as we always say, the trader's best saying, the trend is your friend until the end of the trend, and this has been the trend. So does Litecoin bottom out before Bitcoin? That has been the trend. Does Litecoin lead the whole market out? That actually has been the trend as well, to be fair. And there are cases now for the bottom being in for Bitcoin. I would still be relatively careful though, as long as those areas are not hit. That's perhaps my main message of today is, hey, if you are of the trading mindset, understand where those levels of confirmation are on the higher timeframes. And, as a trader, not going to catch every move, not going to catch the whole of every move either. But as long as you catch most of it while being on side of the trend and doing that in a more statistically viable way, that's where you can make a living. So Litecoin, I don't see any reason to be bearish on this. As long as this thing's above about $63, $65, it's fine. Like I said, pullbacks probably, pullbacks going to happen, but they're going to be buys most likely.
So it's honestly a pretty safe bet right now to see if Litecoin comes back to a low 70s, high 60s to start snacking up and lunching up on that, because it seems like even through a sideways trend, it's not going to lose tremendous ground. If history is any teacher of the future, it's probably just going to grow into the next bull trend. And if there's any fundamental indicator that you should be looking at, the halving of the block reward is one of the most amazing. I mean, it's never been wrong. It's never failed to produce a tremendous growth. And think about it, it makes sense, right? Because you have scarcity of the economy, supply and demand curves getting adjusted tremendously. And so it makes sense. Of all the indicators in the world, it makes total sense that should be a tremendously influential one. And it's good to see that. Man. It's really, really, like a breath of fresh air and a total sort of support to the whole long-term view of what's going to happen with Bitcoin, how people see a $1 million Bitcoin. These halvenings are what creates that. It's the dramatic decrease in supply over time. And that's what creates this increase in value.
Exactly. And that's why I love that you said that, man, because there really is a good case for Litecoin here. And I'm no Litecoin shill. I don't hold any Litecoin. I don't care to hold any Litecoin or anything like that, to be honest with you. But hey.
What about your secret relationship with Charlie Lee, huh? Huh? No, I'm just. That's a joke. That's a joke. That's a joke, guys. That's a joke. you know, crypto YouTube takes everything a little too seriously. That was a joke, guys.
Yeah, man. I mean, so that's why I wanted to show this, because, you know, there's if I'm just looking at Litecoin, I'm not bearish. Lows are in, all good. It's been in for the last couple of months, which we've been saying. It's Bitcoin that I'm still concerned about, that I'm still not, you know, sold on. Like you kind of said before, it has been the trend in the past where Litecoin has kind of led, but I still need to see these levels taken out first. You just as a trader, I'd much rather be careful. You know, for my own trading activities, man, I'm in no rush. I'm in no rush right now.
For a long-term hodler, however, this point in the last bear cycle, when Litecoin was about to hit its halvening, did Bitcoin find a new low after that? Obviously, it went sideways. It tested these exponentials, but did it drop again? You know, if we're in the 2015 era,
low, no. It did not find a new low. They both bottomed out actually at the exact same time, which is what we have seen in 2019. Bitcoin just spent a long time kind of grinding this area, putting an accumulation level between about 300 and 250 for almost a year, whereas Litecoin did it in a few months and then just zoomed up, put in a consolidation, and then just it was never lower after that.
Yeah,
beautiful.
Can't go lower.
So yeah. Can't go lower, bro. There you go. And so, you know, that's what it all comes down to, man, is putting the puzzle pieces together. Like I said, there is significant amounts of, I would still say more things on the side of the bear market case for Bitcoin. Or do we have new lows to be put in? That's the real question for me. But again, as a trader, it's not even something to be even really concerned with, just because as a trader, I know exactly when I take that trade. As soon as we break this area right here, 3,500, yeah, take the trade and look for mid to low 2000s. But right now, that's only an opinion thing. It's not really available, not really viable. And right now, I mean, the lower timeframes are obviously signaling strength to the upside, no doubt about that. But it is very concerning to me to see the MBT there, to see the Bitcoin valuations there, to see the Bitcoin network momentum, to see all these major exponentials, especially the ones that I look for overall trend identification, still being rejected as of the current moment in time. Again, can change around, but right now they're still even below. And with all that kind of in mind, and of course the TD sequential as well.
Yeah, sure.
You know, it's to me, it's a time to be cautious rather than aggressive. If you didn't buy this breakout right here, I wouldn't just be blinded by it unless you're like super long-term time frame. Of course, it's not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor, just sharing what I do in these sorts of exact sort of same situations. But yeah, like I said, a time to be, I'm going to be watching this one. If we do break above 53.50, that's going to be the first initial signal leading on into the monthly. And I'd imagine that would happen first, just because, well, the nature, we get a new we get a new daily every day. But for right now, to me, this looks like a little bit of a rejection. While we might spend some time in this area, I would look for some ranging behavior between 46 and 53 over the next few weeks as we kind of resolve this out. And then by end of month, we should have an explosive move either which way. If it's the upside, that's going to be your big market that the bear market's likely over. It's to the downside. Well, here we go again. Yeah,
I think there's a lot going on, and from a fundamental standpoint, my opinion is that I think the fundamentals grow day by day. I think there's a lot of stuff on that goes on with Bitcoin that is sort of defies fundamentals, traditional fundamentals, and so I think that's kind of like the magic internet money, as you say. And but yeah, I mean, it seems like there are some indicators that would lead you to believe that a low is unlikely. I'm going to try to do my best going forward to not get swept up in bull or bear euphoria here, but it's just interesting time. It's definitely a weird decisive sort of moment. It feels like a fork in the road almost, but yeah,
Absolutely.
An absolutely phenomenal rally. Like the alts, the way they're showing strength, the amount of news coming out. You know, I don't know if you've noticed this, but over the past few I guess years, when the market's more bullish, you start getting news just pouring in from every altcoin, every partnership, every blah blah, every government. They hold it back during the bearish periods because why? You're wasting a great news update. And so and now, you know, I've seen all these other sort of pieces that just from sort of, I guess, a gut feeling, it does feel like there's been a tremendous shift. But then again, if Bitcoin gets kicked hard again, gets sent back downward, I'm sure we'll see the same sort of shuttering of the doors. It's just an interesting time, and just seeing Litecoin perform like that, seeing some of these other coins perform is given a little bit of a glimmer of hope here that I'm hoping will start to translate. And as soon as we get closer to that Bitcoin happening in 2020, I think that's going to be a huge moment. But yeah, like I said, thank you so much for your constant expertise, your caution, and yeah, guys, don't get crazy with the buying, don't get crazy with the selling, it sounds like, but you know, thanks a lot, Crown. You know, any final words for FUD Nation?
Man, I think I'd like to leave with a message of hope, but also look at the higher time frames. Keep in mind those levels. Know where you're going to make a change. You don't necessarily have to do the same thing that I'm doing. In fact, you know, everyone should do what they want to do. But I'm just kind of relaying my own beliefs here and kind of what's worked for me in the past. So with that said, a lot of resistance in this area doesn't mean that it can't get taken out, of course, but at the same point in time, as a trader, I'd rather be careful. So I'd leave with a message of caution, of waiting for those levels to be taken out. If they get taken out, hey, I'm happier than anyone else, man. This is my job. You know, my life becomes a ton easier when it's a bull market. I mean, you don't need to be a professional trader to make money in a bull market. I mean, it's you know, yeah, you might make a little bit more, but at the end of the day, you know, is it really worth it? Probably not. Probably not, man. Monkeys can make money just throwing darts at the coin market cap chart, right? So it's one of those things where caution, but also, like you said before, don't join the gangs, the bull gang or the bear gang. Both gangs get wrecked, man. They both get wrecked. The people who were super bearish at 3,500. That was wrong. That was the wrong thing to do. We're still living above the 200 simple. That's been my whole MO the whole way through. As long as we're above that on the weekly, there's no reason to be super bearish looking for new lower lows. By the same token, right now, as we approach all these major resistances, don't necessarily want to be a bull either. So kind of caught in the middle, just waiting for confirmation on both sides. And that's essentially where I am right now. As always, man, been a pleasure to speak with you, Elliot, and in FUD Nation, man. Just beautiful people here. Met so many cool people from this channel. It's just been really, really amazing, man.
Yeah, I appreciate it. FUD Nation, thanks you very much. And we look forward to seeing you back on the show. Once again, Eric Crown, everybody. Check him out, Crown's Crypto Cave. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed that. I certainly did. A big thank you to Eric Crown over at Crown's Crypto Cave. If you guys are not following Eric Crown, go click on the link in the description of this video. He does an amazing amount of content on a daily basis. Once again, big shout out to FUD Nation. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. If you did, throw me a comment in the comment section below, leave us a like, and please subscribe if you're not already subscribed to FUD TV. I'm Elio Trades, you're watching FUD TV, and I'll see you very soon on the next episode.